Hey everyone, this is a video because I've been getting several questions about the 4.5 Evaluation of Curriculum and Instruction Plan Part 1 that's due in week 5, which we're starting today. So I just want to talk to you a little bit about this. So first and foremost, I don't want you to stress about this. I'm going to let you know that this assignment is kind of what I would call a capstone project for the MAEL program, and it was actually designed by SNU, and it's actually the first time for me to have this in this class. So we'll be kind of learning together, and I'll be giving you feedback, and I'll be answering your questions. As long as you meet the requirements in the rubric, you'll get full points, and I'm not going to count off just a ton of points. As long as I see that you're putting forth your best effort, you've got the formatting in there, and you meet the length requirements. So don't stress too much. And as always, I allow corrections so that you can work to get more points if you miss points. So please don't be worried or stressed about this. I do recognize that it is a very big assignment. And so I am not going to, nothing is due when it says it is. If you get it finished by the end of the course, that's perfectly fine. So if you need more time, I want you to take as much time as you need because I want you to feel good about this and have a product that you can use as an administrator someday. And this is going to be a written plan that you've designed for some program that you might implement someday. And I want it to be good because that is really important to me. I want you to be able to have things that you can take with you from this class that you can use as an administrator. And I hope you see that. That's why I have these templates that you can make copies of so that you can go and use them. So let me kind of go through some of this and see if I can clarify some of the questions and make it a little easier. So this first part is just explaining to you the importance of the assignment, kind of an introduction to it, why we need it, why it's important. These are the objectives. These are the things that you should understand or know after you've completed the assignment. And then here are the assignment instructions. So I'm going to read this scenario to you. You are the principal of your current school, and there is a great need for change and improvement. Your focus this year is on the development of curriculum and faculty for one specific grade and one department. For example, you may develop this plan for the 4th grade reading program or the 11th grade technology and life program. So this is setting it up for you. You're going to be writing a plan like you're the principal of a building. And you're going to be answering the questions down here like you're the principal of a building and you're building this program. And so as the principal, you're going to design a program. And you're going to pick any program that you want. So say as a teacher right now, you recognize that you're teaching 9th grade science and there is no lab program. They've never done any lab science experiments for the students in their entire year of biology. So you want to put together a biology lab program that's really good for kids. Maybe they do it after school or maybe it's embedded in the school day, but it's just a program that you're using to get science labs going. Or maybe you're an 8th grade math teacher and you see that there are a ton of students that failed the state test in math in 7th grade. They need a lot of remediation to be able to get caught up and able to pass the 8th grade math test that they're now in 8th grade. So you're going to put together an 8th grade math remediation program because that's on your heart. You see that that's a need at your school. Or maybe you are a 3rd grade teacher and you see that you have a lot of gaps in reading. So you're going to put together a reading remediation program. Or perhaps you see that there are a ton of students that they need a tutoring program after school. You are looking for something, a math tutoring program or a reading tutoring program or a science or a social studies tutoring program. You're going to pick a specific grade level of your choosing. You're going to pick a specific subject area or department, science, social studies, math, English, one of the big four, because that's going to be a big part of your job is leading one of those big ones. I would definitely recommend doing that. Or like this has the technology in life, maybe like computer science, because we're now having computer science requirements, something like that. And I will say, like, if you aren't comfortable totally with all of that because maybe you're like an ag teacher or an art teacher, PE teacher, I'm fine with you doing a physical education program or something like that. But just pick something. Pick a program that you're going to build out. And then it will be much easier if you pick math, science, or reading or ELA, because people have asked me, where do we get data? Do we collect data? I'm not asking you to collect any data. I'm not asking you to go out and do a survey. I'm not asking you to ask anyone for data. You can go to the school report card and get plenty of data about the school where you're working at. So, like, and you're the principal of your current school. So, if you're at Durant, or if you're at Jones Public Schools, or you're at Putnam City Public Schools, pick that school, go to that school report card, and get some data. And then you can do some additional research. Like if you work at a school and there's some data that you think will contribute to your program, get that from your principal. But I'm not asking you to go out and compile a whole bunch of data on your own, if that makes sense. And it says to be sure to include in your paper these things. I'm not going to read each thing to you. I'm going to open this template because this template will help break it down a little bit better. And I want you to use this template to do this assignment in chunks. So I've already made a copy of the template, and it has all the formatting for you. You just have to fill in your stuff. And then it has each one of the things that are right here underneath a heading. So include a timeline. So at first, I would just start talking about the program you're going to do. Why is it important? Why is it necessary? A necessary improvement for your school. What direction are you going to go? Do you have some curriculum that's related to technology, that's engagement for students that will help with this program? Is there a specific curriculum or program that you're looking at that you know? Like maybe if you're doing math remediation at the elementary level, you find the program called iStation. Or maybe if you're doing reading remediation, there's a technology program called Achieve 3000. You know, what program is going to be involved in helping you with your with the program that you're designing? Like if you're doing a reading remediation program, what kind of like technology are you going to be using to help with that? And then other supports for academic and non-academic student programs. So maybe this is a tutoring program. So like you get this Achieve 3000 for your reading remediation program, but then on top of that, you're going to have some special tutors, or maybe you're going to hire an additional reading specialist to come in. Or maybe if it's a non-academic student program, you're going to be looking for ways to get, say it's a PE, a physical education program, you're going to be looking for ways that you're going to get sports equipment in there. Or maybe if you're doing a STEM program, maybe you decided that your kids need a STEM program at your school, and it's not necessarily related to what's going on in the classroom, but you're going to be doing some robotic stuff, and you would consider that non-academic. Put that in there. There's all kinds of things. It just depends on what kind of program you want. So if you're doing remediation, pick technology and supports that go with reading. If you're doing math, pick technology and supports that go with math. If you're doing science, pick technology and supports that go with science. Hopefully that clarifies that up a little bit. But it's all in relation to this program that you're creating for your school when you're the principal. And then you're going to evaluate curricular instructional resources and assessment resources. So you're going to look at, when you look at this program, like say you get Achieve 3000 for the reading remediation, you're going to evaluate that. We've talked a lot about evaluation and looking at it. How does it meet the standards? So you're going to ask yourself, does it meet the standards? And then there's a rubric, I believe, in week 5 that you look at for evaluating curriculum. Are you going to use a rubric to evaluate the curriculum? What's going to be in your rubric? Are you looking for standards? Are you looking for specific models of evaluation? And that goes into it too. Like in our week 1 where you did your philosophy and you chose a model for evaluation curriculum, that can be a part of this part of your writing. What instructional resources are also going to go into this? Like, are you going to, if you're doing reading, do you have McGraw-Hill instructional resources? what do those look like? Are there decodable readers? Are there leveled readers? Or if it's math, are there flashcards? Um, are there like time tests? What are you doing? What are your instructional resources? Do you need calculators for this class? What are you doing? And then assessment resources. So you're going to look, does the program, like I'm going to keep using the reading program and say you bought Achieve 3000 to go with it. Does it have assessment resources? Are those assessment resources aligned to state standards? What does that look like? And then what challenges or sources of conflict as you implement the changes? You guys all know these. There's tons of challenges. Number one, there's the challenge of professional development and finding time. There's the challenge of the teachers that you have in your buildings that do not want to change. They don't see a reason to change, no matter how much the data supports it. So there's all kinds of challenges that you can talk about as you're looking at your program. And so this is going to be all kinds of things like, are you in this part you're going to talk about in your timeline, like, are you doing this over a span of a year? Are you doing this over a span of 3 years that you're implementing this program? What are you looking for? What are some of your goals? And then we go into evaluate, develop, and implement. This program should include activities that reflect the capacity to evaluate, develop, and implement high quality, equitable, academic and non-academic instructional practices. So this is just looking at the program as a whole. It's not looking at an instructional resource like Achieve 3000 or anything. Like the program as a whole, like if you're doing a reading program, or let's say you're doing a PE program, how are you going to evaluate it? Well, one way you can evaluate it is by how many students are in your class. Your students had data like this year. Did they improve to the next year? That's another way to evaluate. We added this to our program, and our reading test scores went up. How are we going to develop and implement high quality? Well, we're going to have to do a lot of professional development. We're going to have to do a lot of walkthroughs in classrooms to make sure that teachers are implementing it correctly. And so that's one way that you're going to develop and implement high quality. And once again, you can research, because there's tons of ways to make sure that this program is being implemented with fidelity. And then equitable academic and non-academic instructional practices. We're just making sure, how are you going to make sure that all of your students, every single one of them, are receiving the instruction in the program. And then technology and digital literacy. So this program should include activities that support technology and digital literacy. So let's say you're doing a reading program. What technology do you have that goes along with this? Like, there's tons of apps that are phonics apps. There's tons of sight word apps. If you're doing a reading program, I'm just going to stick with that all the way through. So what is your program going to do? If you're doing a robotics program, you're obviously going to be learning how to use the iPad and doing coding. How is this program that you're going to make related to technology? And then culturally responsive assessment. So this part of the program will reflect your capacity to evaluate and implement formal and informal culturally responsive and accessible assessments that support data-informed instruction, improvement, and student learning and well-being. So this is where we're looking at the breakdown of the different ethnicities at your school and maybe how they're scoring in an area. And how does this specific program help your diverse groups of students at your school? So look at that, do some research on that. What are some things that you can bring into this program to make sure that you're being culturally responsive? Like, I'll give you an example. Perhaps 50% of your student population is Hispanic, another 25% is African American, and another 25% is Caucasian. Your 50% of your Hispanic students is scoring 25% lower on the reading assessment than your other two categories of people. Well, what are you going to do? Like, how are you going to culturally respond to that group of students to help them improve through this program, is what that's talking about. And then, and that goes along with evaluating student demographic information like socioeconomic status. So, when you're looking at the school report card and the socioeconomic data, is there a group like the lower income students that are scoring better or worse? And what are you going to do? How's this program going to respond to them when you look at that data? So it's a lot of looking at the data here and telling how is your program going to support these students, this group of students. And then identify a minimum of 2 significant areas of concern found in the data collected. So this is the data from the school report card, or you can even use some data from your school if you get it. Explain the implications for teaching and student learning that emerge from the data collected. This is an important piece, and I would pay attention and I would work hard at it because this is part of the essay portion of the principal examination for principal certification in the state of Oklahoma. And then definitely identify and cite specific research to support your reasoning. You're going to have some research for what culturally responsive techniques you can use in your program to reach out to these students from different diverse backgrounds. And then, of course, supervision and support. This part of the program will reflect a plan to evaluate, develop, and implement systems of supervision, support, and evaluation designed to promote school improvement and student success. This is going to be like walkthroughs. This is going to be like the Tulsa Leadership Evaluation Model of your teachers. This is going to be professional development plans for teachers. How are you going to do that? How are you going to supervise them? How are you going to evaluate them? And how are you going to help them get better in the areas that they are weak? And you need to explain that out for your specific program that you're implementing. And then equity and systems for instruction. So this is the final part, and it's going to reflect a plan to collaboratively evaluate, develop, and implement the school's curriculum, instruction technology, data systems, and assessment practices in a coherent, equitable, and systematic manner. So basically, you're going to have a discussion also of the implications of teaching and student learning that these program changes will reveal, and you will conclude by providing detailed strategies you will implement to address the areas of your concern. So this is basically wrapping it up. How does the plan go from top to bottom? How are you evaluating it? How are you developing it? Who's going to be involved? What curriculum are you using? What technology are you using? What data are you using? And just kind of summing it all up and discussing how that's going to change your school and get good results for students and good results for teachers. So I hope that that helps get you started. And then I'm going to go back also, and it's going to be very similar in this 5.4. This is going to be finishing out the assignment. And so and I say right there, it's a continuation of 4.5. And you need to maintain whatever program you start in this assignment that we just went over. You need to continue on building out that program and adding to it. And so it's still got the same prompt. So whatever you picked, and then use this part 2 template. So I'm going to go ahead and make a copy of that. And I'm going to go through it. It's got the same things. We're just going to talk about it. And so this is your part 2. So recruiting and hiring. So you've built out this program. How are you going to recruit people, and who are you wanting to hire, and who do you need? How are you going to evaluate your current school staffing needs? So you've got this program that you're building. How are you going to figure out who you need, how many people you need, how many people you can hire? Where are you going to recruit? How are you going to recruit? Just talk about all those things. And then promoting school improvement. This part of the program will reflect a plan to develop and engage staff in a collaborative professional culture. Teacher retention, success, identify how you will create buy-in. So these are just talking about the things as you're building this program. How are you going to get the staff on board? How are you going to keep staff there? What are some of the things that you need to do? And you can research these things and look up articles and things on the SNU website that tell you good ways to retain teachers and good ways to get buy-in, good ways to get support. And you're basically talking about how you're going to get that for the program that you're implementing, whether it be a reading program, whether it be a technology program, whether it be a math program. And then professional learning. What's going to be your professional development plan for the people in this program? How are you going to also be a part of that? So you need to be able to help your people reflect, help your people be culturally responsive. You're going to have to provide training for that. When are you going to do it? Where is it at on the timeline? And then design a professional development activity. So give an example of a professional development that you would conduct for your teachers, for your staff, for your support personnel to help make this program work. And then you're going to have a conclusion to wrap it all up and your references. Now, if you want to go ahead and just copy and paste this part into part 1 and submit it again with parts 1 and 2 together, you can do that. But you'll also have the opportunity to do that later on. They are a continuation of one another. So don't get bogged down in that. And once again, I want you to take these section by section. Because if you don't, you're going to be very overwhelmed. Work on them one section at a time. That's my recommendation. And then let me see if there was anything else that I wanted to talk to you about. If you have any other questions, please reach out to me. Here is the link to the SNU library. Use your SNU username and your SNU password, and I would go to the library, and I would go, here, I'll just show you real quick. And then you scroll down to A to Z databases. And then I like to use EBSCOhost. And then you just type in your SNU username and your SNU password, and you log in and you do a search. And then I've also given you articles that go with some of these things to help you as you're researching and to give you ideas. And I believe I did that on 4.5 as well. Let me go back and check. I did not give you any, but if you have any questions about that, about any of these, please just let me know. But once again, where it says demographic information and it's talking about data, you can get most of that right here from the Oklahoma School report card. So please just take it easy, take it one section at a time. Don't worry a lot. It gives you page links right here, so 2 pages. Like don't get in the weeds. Just do an overview of what kind of program you're wanting to do, what you're going to include in here. 1 to 2 pages for this part. Don't get in the weeds. Don't get worried. Take it chunk by chunk by chunk. All right, reach out to me if you have questions. I hope this helps.